Right. 34th District Court's now in session. Yeah, I don't want to mark for that.
You may be seated. You ready? Thank you. This is 223983 SC, Alfonso Spence versus Anthony Contractors Incorporated. May I have your appearances, please? State your name for the record.
Alfonso Spence.
Tamara Smith. Now, ma'am, are you a party to this case or are you just a witness? Thank you. And sir, your name?
My name is Dominic Matieski.
Would you spell that for me, please?
First or last or both?
Both, please.
First name is Dominic. Last name is Matejewski.
And sir, what's your relationship to Anthony Contractors?
I am a senior manager at the company as well as the owner's son.
Do you have firsthand knowledge of the contract or the issues in the case this morning?
Yes, I do.
And you're authorized to be here on behalf of Anthony Contractors?
Yes, ma'am. I do have a doctor's note to excuse my father from being here as well.
Okay. Before we begin these proceedings, I want to remind the parties that by proceeding in the small claims case, you waive your right to have an attorney, you waive your right to have a jury, you waive the right to recover more than the statutory amount, which is $6,500, and you waive the right to an appeal of these proceedings. Sir, do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
And you agree to proceed this morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
And you agree to proceed this morning?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Spence, you have all necessary documents and witnesses with you this morning?
Yes.
And same question, Mr. Majewski, you have all necessary documents and witnesses?
Yes.
Okay. That being the case, the court has reviewed the file. Mr. Spence, it is your case to present. So what I will do is I will swear in anyone who is going to give testimony this morning. Then you'll start by giving your statement as to why we're here, the basis of your claim, et cetera. Mr. Majewski will have a chance and will have the opportunity to cross-examine you if he likes. And then he'll present the defense on behalf of Anthony Contractors, and you also have the opportunity to question him. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, sir, raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear a firm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Spence, state your claim for the record.
Uh,
What brings us here today?
What brings us here today is that I am we hired Anthony Contractors to put some concrete down around my property in Van Buren Township. I met them, found out from my neighbors.
Them who?
Anthony Contractors. So I reached out to the person that they have is Charles. I can't pronounce his last name, but he is the person that I actually spoke with, and he set up a contract for us to sign for them to complete the work of doing the concrete around the home. While they were doing the concrete, we wound up upgrading it. While they had some extra cement, so they wound up doing the driveway as well. So it went from not just doing concrete around, removing the pavers and doing concrete around the home. They actually did the driveway as well.
They redid the whole driveway?
Yes, ma'am. Yep. So, and then there's borders on the side of the driveway where the pavers were, so they did all of that as well. And so when they were finishing, I can't really recall, it was the second or third day, me and my wife noticed some, I guess, inconsistencies with the texture of the concrete in the back patio. We brought those to the attention of Rick, who we were introduced as the manager. We were told that Rick Anthony was the boss. He told us that this was his company, and he at first he treated us fair. Everything was cool, and we told him about that. He said he would take care of the inconsistencies in the concrete. He sent somebody out. They smoothed out the edges so it wasn't so jagged by the steps, but the spots that my wife had brought to his attention that were present while they were done were still there. He said it would give it some time, they would go away. About a week after that, he sent one of his
He
employees,
who?
Anthony, Mr. Anthony, Rick Anthony. Um, he sent a, a employee to spray some type of chemical on the back patio that was supposed to remove these spots. What we started to notice is that the spots started to grow. So they weren't just now in the place that we had uh, told them about, they were over the whole back patio. So I don't know anything about concrete. I have a list of texts and everything that I went through because I didn't know what was going on, why these spots were occurring. They wound up, the Anthony contractors wound up sending a crew of guys, a new set of some other guys, and they re-stripped everything down and they said they were going to redo all of the cement work as far as the gloss or the glaze that goes on top of it.
Do you remember how long between the time they were done with the contract and this group came out to reglaze or regloss?
1 year.
So this all started, I'm gonna keep interrupting you just so we can kind
I'm
of,
sorry.
no, 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 you're perfect. I just want to be sure that I'm following your story since what's in the file is limited versus what you've been living with. Your affidavit says that the claim arose on August 15, 2021. Is that when the original work started?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're talking about 22 last year is when they came out to do you have to say the words.
Yes, they did the reglaze.
You don't have to lean into it,
Oh,
but when you
okay.
nod, even though we have cameras, she's recording. So if
Okay.
you don't say
You need to
anything,
hear-
even though you nod for me,
Got it.
okay.
Got it.
So they come out last year, and when was it that they came out for the regloss or reglaze?
That was in. That was in, just give me a minute. I can tell you exactly. It was in 2022 and it was the week of May. I can't be exact on the day, but it was the week of May 29th.
Okay,
Um,
it's okay, Mr. Spence, if you can't find the exact date right this second,
yes.
but I'll let you pick back up your testimony that they have this crew come out and they are to regloss or reglaze.
Yes, we were told this by them the year previous, after we were unsatisfied with their multiple attempts. I'm gonna be honest with you, Your Honor. They came out probably 3 to 4 times the first year, spraying this chemical called xylene. Okay, I wound up looking the chemical up and found out that it was, their own Anthony contractors' own workers were there telling me that this isn't gonna solve it. This is what they were telling us. And, I have cameras all around my house. They know that everywhere, all around the property. No, I didn't download all of that stuff because it doesn't have audio out there, but they were saying they knew it wasn't gonna work. So they came out maybe, I'll say at least 3 times that year. After we found out that that wasn't gonna solve it, at some point we spoke with Charles, his last name begins with a K, and he said, I will get Rick to agree. We'll come back next year because it's getting cold. We can't do anything else this year. They're booked up. They've got this big job somewhere else, and it was always about some other stuff. We've already paid at this point. We have paid and completed, payment for the work that was done. And then they said we would have to wait until next year. So that's when the promise was made to come out in 2022 to do the reglaze, to strip and reglaze. After it was done, on that day, I noticed after I came back home, I wound up looking at the camera. What they were doing was they weren't letting it dry enough. Because of how my house is sitting in the shade, and this is just me watching the camera, I seen what they were doing. They would come back, not waiting enough for the moisture to dry inside of the indentations in the concrete, and then they will come and put this glaze or whatever it's called on there, which would seal in the moisture, and that's where the spots are coming from. I don't do concrete, but it seems pretty obvious to me what they were doing. So then I contacted Rick again, which Rick is, I was told was the head guy of the company. I have text messages and I contacted him because he wouldn't answer my calls and I told him what was going on. He got very upset. He told me he was doing this out the kindness of his heart. He's come back, however many times he said, and yeah, they're not really easy people to get along with. I'm not even, I can't even recall, even while they were there, just the language. I don't, just talking really reckless, like not really understanding what, like I'm just complaining for no reason. I paid a lot of money to get some concrete done and it looks crappy. The integrity of the concrete is great. It's solid. It's concrete. It's there. Nothing's messed up with the home. They didn't mess up my home or the structure of my home while they were on the job. So that's not my complaint. It just looks crappy. It looks really nasty, and the pictures don't do justice of showing how it looks when the sun is shining on the concrete. That's really it. And so I'm seeking so at this point, I feel like I'm seeking damages from time missed off work, dealing with them, calling them back and forth, setting appointments, not having events at my home because I was a little embarrassed to show it off because my neighbors didn't look like that. And and I have a big patio and it didn't look right. We were promised they would fix it until it was corrected. The owner told me he was done with me and he wasn't coming out no more. I have those text messages where he pretty much said he was done, and I never made a threat. I said, okay, well, I see where we're at now. And I was done with that. I wasn't going to contact him anymore because it seemed like it was getting a little hostile, if you ask me. So I've said we would go this route. Me and my wife spoke. We talked about it, and we decided after we prayed that this is the route we were going to go, so that we can get the work properly done, to our satisfaction. That's it.
Where did you come up with $6,500 as the claim?
Well, originally, the 6,500, to my knowledge, was because from my lawyer, actually, to be honest with you. And he wrote a letter to them, first asking for a response, which they never did. The 65 was the most that we could ask for in this court. So that's where it came from.
Have you had another company come out to give you an estimate on what it would
Verbal.
take to fix?
Verbally, nothing in concrete. And I asked my lawyer at that time, was something that I needed to do. This was last year, so this was late last year, and at the time we were awaiting back and forth Zoom meetings. It's been a long journey trying to contact them, and I didn't know at what point I was supposed to do that. But no, I do not have any estimates in writing. But I have gotten a couple, two at least, since the time that we were dissatisfied with their work.
And,
Oh, you want to know what they were?
well,
The
Mr. Spence, you have to understand something.
uh,
The court can only make rulings based on testimony and evidence, documentary evidence. So anything that you want the court to consider, and I'll say the same thing when I turn to Anthony contractors, this is the time to give it to me. This
right.
is the hearing. This is everything that you need to support your claim and ask the court to make a ruling that Anthony Contractors was deficient in the work they did. This is the time for it.
Right.
You have to give the court whatever it is you want to give. This is the time.
Okay. So in my search to try to find somebody to correct all of this, I was given two separate estimates. One guy actually gave me an estimate of like $4,000 because he wanted to strip everything and reglaze it, and he had his warranty was pretty much he would come back every 2 years to do as needed to make sure it's so that's why I think that estimate was that steep. The other one was around $2,000. I think it was like 1,850. A guy told me he would do it he didn't feel comfortable working. He had to strip it in a certain way because he said the stuff that they were spraying on there left deposits of the or whatever that stuff was inside of the actual concrete. So I feel that through the whole journey of going through this and trying to find somebody, going back and out, dealing with them, waiting because they asked us to wait, to not, they told us we would come back next year and do this. So I put a lot of things on hold, waiting on them to kind of appease us, and they didn't. I feel like 6,500 was the number that, I mean, if that's the most we could ask, I really didn't even want to, and I tried to leave like a bad review and all of that stuff, but primarily, I just wanted to be recompensated for everything that we went through. We spent, when they asked for their money, we gave it to them. We didn't hesitate. My wife agreed that if that's the most that we can get, then that's what we wanted from them, because we tried to communicate with them. And that's really it. That's all I got.
Okay.
Can my wife say anything?
No, not yet. Because what happens is this is your testimony. He'll have the opportunity to cross-examine. I was just starting to turn to him to say, are there any questions that you have for Mr. Smith, Mr. Spence? And this is not when you testify on behalf of Anthony Contractors, but questions to him regarding his testimony.
No questions.
No questions. Thank you. Now is the opportunity. Ma'am, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Smith.
The 6,500 came about for me is because excuse me, when they asked for the 20,000 plus, we gave it to them, no questions asked. And I don't know what your pictures look like. I know we sent in these pictures, but I have photos that can show you exactly what we're dealing with. And so this is our very first home. I'm sorry. I'm emotional. This is our very first home. And it's a beautiful home. And I wanted to have my 50th birthday party at my house, but I couldn't because I didn't want people to see that I paid $20,000+ for this concrete and it doesn't look like it. It's spots everywhere. And so I felt like that 6,500 is from my pain and suffering, having to look at this patio like this and having to cancel events that I wanted to have at my house. We have not had an opening at our house, buying this house, because of how it looks. And we saved hard-earned money to give them this. And then for him to say, I did it out of kindness of my heart. This is the kindness of your heart. This kind of work is the kindness of your heart. I don't feel there's no kindness in this. And the disrespect, that's where the 6,500 came from for me. If that's the most I can get, that's what I would like to have.
There were 5 pages of pictures attached to the affidavit and claim. If there's something else that you want the court to consider, as I indicated to Mr. Spence, this is the time to present it. It's close-ups of, it looks like around an egress window from the basement. There's 3 close-ups. I can't really tell where they're from. There's some that go towards a fire pit, some that go towards the door wall.
Are your pictures in color?
Yes,
They are.
thank you for that.
Yeah,
But yes,
so
they
that-
are.
That helps a lot that they're in color for you.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions for her?
No, Your Honor.
Thank
No
you.
questions.
Any other witnesses? Any other documents?
No, Your Honor, I think that's it.
Okay. Sir, raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor. I
Thank
do.
you. Your response, well, your defense on behalf of Anthony Contractors.
So my father's business, we've been in business before I was born. It's been about 40 years. My father is a 2nd-generation Mason, as well as me being a 3rd-generation Mason. The neighborhood Mr. Spencer lives in, we've done countless jobs in. He was completely right when he said that it was an issue with moisture about, his back patio is covered by like a deck, if I remember correctly. Um, no? Oh, well,
I'm saying no because I don't know, because I don't have pictures of that.
okay. Well, if I do remember correctly, it is in the shade, so he was right when he said it was a moisture issue. When our employee went to go seal it, he did not wait long enough after power washing, and,
He, your employee?
yes.
Okay.
So yeah, he was right when he said it was a moisture issue. Basically, if the concrete was dry before he sealed it, those spots wouldn't be there. So, my father has stated that we are willing to go back and strip the sealer from the patio and reseal it free of charge, as well as adding Sure Grip to the sealer, which is a powdery substance that adds grip to it. Um, but yeah, we have tried to remediate the situation. The employee who did the sealer actually has been let go since that happened. Um, it was a result of poor training on our part, but we are willing to remediate the situation, so.
So is it your testimony on behalf of the defendant, Anthony Contractors, that that the work at the Spence Smith home is not your usual quality of work?
That is correct.
And that there is something to do to fix the problem?
That is also correct.
If you, on behalf of Anthony Contractors, went to a property where this problem existed, what would the quote be to fix the strip, reseal, and everything else to bring it up to your typical quality of work?
So the cost of stripping and resealing without the Sure Grip, we came to a price of $2,000.
And that would be labor and materials, that'd be everything for
Labor
the job
and-
site? Okay.
correct.
So why hasn't that happened?
The remediation?
Yes, sir.
So we actually tried to do the remediation, and again, since it's in a shade spot where there's no sun hitting it, the result was the moisture was still left in the concrete. Concrete's a porous substance, so it holds water. It was simply our employee just didn't wait long enough for the water to dry. He sealed it with the moisture being in the concrete again. So again, it was a result of poor training on our part. I'm not 100% sure if we offered to remediate it a third time, but I know we tried a second time to remediate
When you say we, the thing is, when this case first started this morning, my question to you was, did you have firsthand knowledge? Which is the only way that a person is able to represent the position of a business in small claims court. So do you have firsthand knowledge of the Spence Smith contracting issues?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt you just because I want to stay on track for 1 second. You indicated that the worker who came out to remediate, is that the remediation that Mr. Spence indicated happened in May of 2022?
Yes, it is.
And what was that person's name?
That was Ike, Ike.
The last name doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So Ike came out in May of 2022. Yes?
Correct.
Okay. And did what you thought should have happened to fix the issues with the discoloration and the pooling.
Correct.
Okay. And it's your testimony this morning that whatever he did still was not done up to the standard of Anthony Contractors.
That is correct.
So the problem still persists.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So if you know the problem persists and your employee was not adequately trained to address the moisture issue, what is your defense to the Spence Smith claim for $6,500?
We're still willing to remediate it again since that is needed. So, I mean, we admit that it's not up to our quality standards. Basically, the only thing we can do is fix the situation.
Anything else?
No, that is it.
Mr. Spence, do you have any questions for him?
Well, since my first time meeting this gentleman, I don't think I've ever seen him. I did want to say that, were you told that we have something over our home, over the deck? Because there's nothing there. We don't have,
I'll come back to you.
ask the question.
Thank you.
Okay.
If you have questions for him.
Okay, yeah, were you told that we have something over that home that's preventing it from drying?
No, I know we've done several jobs in your neighborhood. The one I thought it was they have like this big deck over their back patio, but I was wrong. Apparently, that was the one I thought it was. But I was on site for every job in that neighborhood, so.
No further questions.
Thank you. Anything else, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Spence, was there anything else you wanted to say? You, as the plaintiff petitioner in this case, get the last word or last statements regarding the matter.
I would just like to say on behalf, I think I can speak for me and my wife, that, I really didn't plan on going this far with this. I really felt like the remediation and the communication I was having with Charles, who was like, he's the sales guy. He was the face of Anthony Contractors before we even met Rick. Very kind, nice guy. Invite him into our home, and we felt like this would never get to this far. We took constant text messages and communication with them as their word, and that I just want to know again that second time that they came out, because we're calling it the second time because it was last year. I mean, it was the next year, but they had came out multiple times within the first year, and those were also remediations too. So, I just feel like we have come to a point where I would not like them back on the property. Because I've tried that, and then as the owner, just talk to me on the phone like he was fed up with me and frustrated with me. When I showed him, me and my wife showed them nothing but respect when they were out at home, like, open door. It was nothing but respect shown. I feel like for that reason, I would not like them to try to remediate or try to like solve it at our property again. And I think that's really all we really feel strongly about, and the amount that we're suing for.
Anything else, Mr. Spence?
No, that's
Okay.
it.
The court has had the opportunity to hear the testimony of 3 witnesses this morning, previously reviewed all the documents and pictures in the file. And based on the fact that the representative for Anthony Contractors has acknowledged and admitted that the work done at the Spence Smith property is not their usual standard and that an additional remediation is necessary, the court will find in favor of the plaintiff, Alfonso Spence. The issue concern for the court right now is the amount. Mr. Spence has presented not quotes in the typical fashion of what it would cost to remediate. He's indicated on the record that Mr. Spence has indicated on the record that the 2 verbal estimates were $1,850 and $4,000. Representative for Anthony Contractors, the defendant, has indicated that it is about a $2,000 remediation because these are guesstimates. The court takes them as the testimony as for what they are and will enter a judgment in favor of the plaintiff and against defendant for $3,000. Mr. Spence, this court would never order you to take a remediation from someone that there's been a breakdown of the relationship. And as soon as your testimony indicated that you were spoken to in a reckless manner, the court knew at that time that there was no way that remediation could be done by Anthony Contractors. So again, judgment in favor of the plaintiff with principal damages of $3,000. The court sees a $70 filing fee and will find the service fee, or do you have that handy, Mr. Spence? What you spent to have service done?
Yes. No, Your Honor. I don't have it on.
Did you pay for the service fee separately from the filing of your affidavit and claim? I don't see a proof of service and I don't see a dollar amount for service on Anthony Contractors.
I think that's just all I paid. I'm sorry.
70? Okay.
Yes, I was mistaken.
No, you're okay. $70 total in court costs for a total judgment of $3,070. I'm filling in the judgment form right now, so the file will go downstairs if you want to wait for the civil department. I don't know if there's somebody available that can process this and give you copies. If there's not, they will mail it to you.
Okay.
Then the question to Anthony Contractors would be, are you able to pay this judgment in full within the next 30 days?
Yes, we would like to know if we send it to, basically how we pay it. Do we pay it to you or directly to him?
You mail it directly to or pay it directly to the plaintiff in this matter, Mr. Spence.
Okay.
Any idea of when that might happen?
If it has to happen within the next 30 days, we can guarantee that will happen. I can't exactly put a specific date on it unless you need me to.
I don't need you to, but what will happen is if Mr. Spence doesn't receive payment, he'll then have the opportunity to begin other actions in this court to collect on his judgment. And I feel as a business, it might just be easier to get this claim paid out. If it's not done, that's fine, but I would suggest there be some communication as to how it will happen, rather than having Mr. Spence return to court and seek additional means of collecting that money.
Okay, I can just guarantee that he will get the check within 30 days.
Okay.
Is that all right?
That's wonderful.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Spence or Ms. Smith?
Yana, thank you for allowing us to still come and rectify this matter, even though we were unaware of the online versus the in-person. So I appreciate you because I just want this done and over.
Ms. Smith, I appreciate that, and no worries there. I saw in the file there originally been a notice for you to appear on Zoom. There was a later one for you to appear in person, but I find that when people aren't on Zoom all the time, it's difficult for them to kind of manage the technology, present their evidence and things like that. And I don't want technology to stand in the way of you having your day in court, having the opportunity to be heard. Thank you. Anything else, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. I've given the file to my secretary. Again, if there's somebody downstairs that can process it and at least give you copies, they'll do that. Otherwise, it will be in the mail to you within the next day or two. Okay?
Okay.
Is there anything that I need to collect from the civil?
If you want to wait and get it, if there's some, like I said, if there's somebody downstairs who can give you a copy, if you want to wait for that, great. Otherwise, they'll mail it to the address that's on the, that was on the notice to appear.
Including our business, if it was on there?
I thought it was a Novi. It looked like a home address in Novi. It didn't look like a
Yeah,
business
it's
address.
The same thing.
Okay, that's where it will be mailed.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
thank you. You all have a good day.
Thank you.
10 o'clock case? Okay, I won't go far. I'll stay right here then. If they're ready, I'm ready. Okay. Thank you, sir.
How long,
Same rule,
15?
15. The reason I waited this time was we'd already been in communication with them. We knew they were on their way.
Yeah. All right, I'll tell them other people because they're kind of impatient. They said something about, oh, it was supposed to be live last time. It was Zoom and
Who is it, the plaintiff or the defendant? Are there two people or one person?
3.
Thank you. One side. Which side? We don't know. There.
That surprised me.
Which part?
That he.
Mhm. Wait, what? I mean, it's. If you are not in court all the time,
Oh, yeah. You don't know.
anything else? Is there anything? Bueller? The other thing is that you say it, but people, I don't think appreciate it. This is your issue that you have lived with for whatever period of time. And when the file only has, like this case, only has 2 pieces of paper in it, that's all the court knows. So you need to, anything that you want the court to consider. And that's why even when people attach what some would deem as too much, I'd rather you give me too much and I'll weed through versus not enough. And so, yeah. So I love our little Michigan. That is so cute. What is cute? Oh, I know. And I forget about it. And then I look and I know it's like, that is such. And it looks really good there. It's perfect. But it's, I don't know. Somebody said your courtroom is empty. I said, A, it's not my courtroom. B, empty. Like there should be stuff. And I'm like, stuff like what? This is not a house. This is a place of business. And I can't bring myself to put holes in walls and tape and adhesive. That's why this is just command strips.
Yeah, that holding up.
Command strips. Yeah, they came with command strips, which
That's because it's kind of heavy, isn't it?
no, it's super light. When I came up, when it came in a flat box and I came with it under my arm. It's not heavy. When they put holes in the walls for that, I was like, oh, which I didn't approve of, I didn't authorize, I didn't ask for. I was like, if it doesn't stay up, I'll figure something else out.
We could have put it like on an easel or something.
That's what I was going to do.
Yeah,
When I came back, yeah, when I found out about that,
maybe it's just a tiny little hole. Well, it's gonna stay there. Yeah.
I said, all of my stuff is just right here
For you.
for me to enjoy. Except we had, who was it? One of the attorneys yesterday had a whole bunch of Ruth Bader Ginsburg stuff on the shelf behind her, and I was gonna show her my little Ruth, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah, I saw that. I wonder who was that?
Brush or Seguro? Seguro, Segura. Well, he said they were impatient. I don't. As somebody who has been late for court before, I allow an opportunity for. Oh my. This is 2252886 SC. This is Terry Goodenough, Tina Goodenough versus Narain Razangani.
Rising Honey.
Razangani.
Yeah, that's his last name.
State your name, sir.
Terry Goodenough Jr.
Tina Goodenough.
Today is the day and time set for the small claims hearing in this matter scheduled for 10 o'clock. It is now 10:17 by this court's clock. The last notice to appear was mailed to the parties on January 18, 2023 at the addresses that the court has on record. Have you had any communication from the defendant?
Yes, we have, Your Honor. He text messaged my husband trying to get us to buy the property.
Have you had any communication with the defendant since the last court date? No?
Other than the message asking us if we wanted to purchase the property.
That's it.
Okay. Case having been scheduled for 10 o'clock and now being 10:17 by the court's clock, the defendant having failed to appear, the plaintiffs are entitled to entry of judgment in the amount requested in the affidavit and claim. The affidavit and claim that was filed by the plaintiffs on October 20th, 2022 requests $6,500 for a security deposit that was improperly retained by the defendant, the last month of rent, and 16-day house, which was unlivable and damages to personal property. Sir, is it your position that there is still $6,500 due from the defendant?
At least.
Yes.
Thank you. Defendant, again, having failed to appear, default judgment shall enter in favor of plaintiff and against defendant with principal damages of $6,500. The court file indicates a $70 filing fee. Were there any other court costs associated with this case?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. No. Judgment in favor of plaintiffs and against defendant, $6,570. There is the wrong judgment form in the file. The file will go downstairs for the civil department to prepare a correct default judgment in your favor. That civil staff will process it. It will be mailed to you at your address on Wayne Road, okay?
Okay.
Anything else, sir?
Nope, ma'am.
Anything else, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
Thank you very much. You have a good day.
Thank you.
11. Is it 11? Am I just making up times? Oh.
So we get 10:30.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
officially. Supposed to start at 10:30. The judge gives it 15 minutes. They don't matter, like 4 people start, which is usually pretty good for you. Oh, that's funny. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what she said. So I'll go get her 15 minutes, whether they're here or not, we will get it. Okay. All right.
Hey, you, no. Okay. How are you? Okay, okay. Good old Huron. Oh, wow. I do, and I also said, I'll give you a car, and I left them on the car, so I'll recommend my car. You got anything?
All right. Third District Clerk's now in session and hold.
You may be seated.
Thank you, ma'am.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
This is 225973 SC. This is Lamont Patton versus Matthew Fernie. State, you don't have to leave, ma'am. State your name for me, please, sir.
Lamont Patton.
Thank you. Mr. Patton, today is the day and time set for hearing on your small claims affidavit. The court sees that the defendant was personally served in this matter and notice to appear this morning at 10:30 was mailed to both parties on January 18, 2023. Have you had any communication from the defendant in the last month?
With the exception of mediation, no, ma'am.
Okay. Matter having been scheduled for 10:30, this court's policy being 15 minutes past the scheduled start time, it's 10:47 by the court's clock. The defendant has failed to appear. Based on that failure to appear, default judgment will enter in favor of plaintiff and against defendant. Mr. Patton, the court is in receipt of your affidavit and claim, which requests damages of $76. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I was also seeking the reimbursement for the $30 filing fee, excuse me. And then I also have a.
Mr. Patton?
Sorry?
No. The court also awards your court cost the $30 filing fee. Then my next question would be to you.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. My next question would be to you. Did you have any other court costs incurred in pursuing this matter? And you've tendered to my officer process service fee of $55. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Defendant having failed to appear, default judgment shall enter in favor of plaintiff and against defendant with principal damages of $76, $30 filing fee, $55 service fee, for a total judgment of $156 in favor of plaintiff and against defendant. Was this copy for the court?
Yes.
Okay. That will be placed in the court's file. The file will be downstairs for the civil department to prepare the judgment. It will be mailed to you at the address we have on file. Anything else, Mr. Patton?
Just one question. The total dollar amount, can you repeat that, please?
$1,156, which is the $76 listed in the complaint, the $30 filing fee, plus the $55 service fee.
Okay, so it came over 161. Check on that.
No. Whatever those numbers added to be correctly, sir. You're right, 161. I'll keep my day job. 161.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that correction. Anything else, Mr. Patton?
No, ma'am.
That concludes this matter. That concludes this court's docket for the day. We will stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.